E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. We are so excited to be here today. We're talking about skills for teens. And today's show is basic first aid. Mm-hmm. Important for everybody. But the earlier we can get our children to learn about it, the better off they are.
You're absolutely correct, Donna, because, the only place you can put a tourniquet is on an arm or a leg. The neck is not a good place for one of those.
Well, you can put a tourniquet there, but I think that's a whole different show.
Yeah. We're not talking about first aid. We're talking about final aid.
Oh, my goodness.
How you doing today, Donna?
I am wonderful, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing real well. I'm very excited we're going to be putting on a special event on April the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And our guest, that's going to be on a Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll figure out the time yet. We know the date, so we got the date in place. It's on Saturday, April the 23rd. We're narrowing down the time. And let's see, who's our guest going to be? I wrote down it's three. Who was it now?
I think it'll come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Since I is one, huh? We're going to have the VFW, ladies and gentlemen. And on that show, that 90 minutes, it's going to be about the history of the VFW. It's going to be about what they've done. And most importantly, a call out to veterans, because I'm a lifetime member of the VFW. What's in it for the veterans to help support the VFW by becoming a member and getting involved with the VFW in little ways that they can.
Right.
But most importantly, if it wasn't for the VFW was one of the reasons why the VA, the Veterans Administration, got started, because World War I veterans was saying, hey, wait a minute. You can't send us to war and then forget about us. That's what they did to us Vietnam veterans. I was promised a steak dinner. I never got my steak dinner. I didn't even get a stale donut or a cup of coffee. Because that was the thing they said, when you come back, they're going to feed you a steak dinner and all that. We didn't get nothing like that. Of course, we landed on a Sunday morning at Fort Dix at about 4:30 in the morning, and they weren't even expecting us. So we had to stand there and wait till people come up to process us in. It took about an hour and a half later. So anyway, by that time, we weren't interested in no steak. We were interested in el mucho, el hadioso, thank you, and we're gone. But today, my goodness gracious, what's the day? Today is Thursday.
A wonderful day. Mm-hmm. It is the 31st.
The 31st.
So March is gone, and now we're getting ready to bring in April. But today is National Farm Workers Day, Jim.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. It really is. We want to give a shout out there on the National Farm Workers Day, because it's amazing. If it wasn't for the farmers, we wouldn't be eating. Let's face it.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's a hard job, no matter what end of it you're on, whether you are working in the fields or you're the farmer, worrying about planting the crops and and everything that goes into it, and the crop prices, etc.
Hmm.
All ends of it are a hard job. So we
Hmm.
take our hat off to you, everyone out there, we're
Oh yeah.
farm and ranchers, because gosh darn, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. They really do because the ranchers, they provide us with meat and stuff like that. And I mean,
Hmm.
uh, what part about not eating good is we don't get, But the farm workers, all types, the people who own the farms, that work the farms and all that, the migrant workers who we had, not sharecroppers, we had part-time workers, farm workers on our farm growing up, picking cotton and all that. I actually picked cotton when I was a kid, and dad drew cotton and corn,
Hmm.
and so I know what's all's involved, especially the farmers. I mean, you talk about living in faith.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, some years you're going to have good crops, and some years you're going to have
A
not so
very
good
lean
crops.
year.
And if something happens, a disaster like a tornado hits your field or something like
Mm.
that, I mean, oh, it's
Right.
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
But speaking of farms, it is
Mhm.
also National Tater Day.
Oh,
Now that's calling to me right
oh,
there. As a matter of
mm,
fact, the other night I made Swiss steak and mashed potatoes.
mm. You know what I love? I love sweet potatoes.
Oh, I love those too.
And
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, during Thanksgiving, a lot of people love pumpkin pie and all that. And pumpkin pie is good. It is. But my favorite is sweet potato pie. Oh my goodness gracious. I can eat that like a pig at slop time. I
Well,
mean, I
we
just,
love taters, so
yeah, mhm, that's for sure. And, we just like to really recognize all these interesting days. Today is now also National Prom Day, and it's also National Crayon Day. Think about when you were a kid, all the crayons you used to color with and all that. Oh my goodness gracious.
I'd
Mm.
get a new box of crayons at Christmas,
Oh yeah.
right? And you
Mm.
were uptown if you got the one with the sharpener in the back.
You got a sharpener in the back?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess we know who was uptown and who wasn't.
Oh goodness.
Oh my goodness gracious. I just gotta pick up this youngin here. She snuck
Oh,
in.
she in with you?
Yep, she snuck in with me and then reached up and pawed at me. Hi,
Oh,
Dixie. Say hello,
hi,
little girl.
baby.
Hey, Dixie girl. Let me down. But
And
she comes
today,
up and paws at me.
oh, right, right.
Yep.
Well, mine just, they don't even paw at me. They just kind of look at me and jump up in my lap. But
Dixie in the morning, especially since daylight savings time. I'm not a fan of daylight savings time. I know a lot of people are, but I'm not because she's pawing at me again. I usually get up between naturally during the regular time between 4:15 to 4:30, 4:45 or whatever. But if I'm laying in bed at 5:30 and my GPS has not been recalibrated to the daylight savings time, which I
right.
don't know what we're saving, but that's 4:30 my normal time. Dixie comes in and she'll paw me and for me to pet her. And that's her sign. You need to get up because it's time for my treats. And if I lay there, she will walk on my stomach. I mean, she
Oh,
makes
wow.
her presence known. I mean, she is. It's like living with a monkey. And of course, you got a clouder of cats. We know what clouder means. We learned that word here a
Two.
few weeks. Yeah.
They're so naughty sometimes, but gosh, I
Hmm.
love them so much.
They sure can bring a lot of energy in the house, can't they?
They do, and every now and then a little too much energy.
Yeah. It's amazing about animals. I just like to say that they bring so much personality, and each one has their own unique personality. That's amazing.
Oh, my cats have amazing personality,
Hmm.
and I've had cats my entire life, and of course
Hmm.
I've got my dog. And I find it's funny because a lot, when I talk to people, Jim, and they say, "Oh, I don't like cats."
I know.
They're so aloof.
Mhm.
Cats have just as distinct a personality as a dog does.
Yeah, they do.
But oftentimes people don't look and see what kind of personality they have,
Hmm.
right? So Bullet is a big goofball and he's my high energy, right? But my cat Magnum, she comes in the bathroom with me when I'm getting ready for the day, and I close the door so the other cats aren't there, and we have our time together. And she meows and talks to me and rolls over and stretches out and shows her belly, and we just have this conversation. So they all have great personalities. We just have to, you have to learn to look for it.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever a pet like that rolls over and show you its belly, it's definitely a sign that
trust.
Pure trust. Absolutely. And like I tell people that, of course, dogs live with you, but you live with cats. And that's a good way of putting it, because I knew one guy and he did not care for cats. I hate cats, this and that. Because he was the kind of guy, hey, Butch, come here, or King, come here, sit,
Right.
good boy. And if you say that to a cat will look at you like, I'm sorry, I didn't get the memo where you got promoted, and I'll get back with you later.
I've had one cat in my entire life, Simey. I lost him in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2020. Mm-hmm. And he would come like a dog when I called him.
Mm-hmm. Now, little
cat ever.
Dixie will come when I call her, because she knows there's something in it for her. That's why they come.
Well, it would be just to come see me.
Mm-hmm.
No treat involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she'll pay attention when I call her. She'll come, and she's just a nutty little girl. We talk a lot about our animals because we're animal lovers here. And Donna asked me if I appreciated manatees. And when you're sitting here before the show and you're getting ready to go live, and Donna says, "Hey, Jim, do you appreciate manatees?" I don't think I've ever seen one before. Maybe a picture of one, Do I appreciate them? Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful creatures, very endangered.
Oh, are they? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They're very endangered.
So the day is a National Manatee Appreciation Day? Mm-hmm. Well, all you manatees that's tuned in out there in TV land, I'm trying to make a statement. I appreciate you. Yeah. Your fans mean a lot to me. Oh, goodness. But when it comes to teens, the same thing is true for young adults, people our age. Knowing the basic things about first aid is critical.
Oh, so true.
And, Donna, one of the things that I like to start out here with, this is on the verywellhealth.com. There are some things that you need to know how to do. These are 10 basic first aid procedures.
Yep.
And one of the first things that they cover is when someone is unconscious and you don't know what's going on, you want to make sure their airway is open.
Right.
That is priority one. If someone's not breathing, you got to clear that airway. And if you don't have anybody with you, call 911 immediately, and they will have someone on the line that can assist you to do these things. And make sure if the airway is clear and they're still not breathing, provide rescue breathing.
Right.
What they call then. You got to keep air, into their lungs, and you probably want to perform a little CPR too. Check their heart and make sure it's beating, because without proper blood and oxygen, they won't last long.
True. So that's the circulation portion of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, you perform chest compressions, of course, as well as any rescue breathing that might be needed. So, you can check their pulse on their wrist or on their neck. But if their heart has stopped, then you're going to need to go into some chest compressions.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 10 to 1, if I remember correctly, from my first 8 days, 10 chest compressions to 1 breath of air, then 10, keep rotating that, because you got to make an attempt to keep the air and the heart beating. And with someone from 911 there to assist you, put your cell phone on speaker, you can have confidence that someone there who is knowledgeable can walk you through and ask you questions that will help keep you calm down, because in the hour of need, in the very moment like that, you're not going to remember all the things that you've been trained in. It's just not going to happen, you know?
Unfortunately, most of us are like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
We wish we weren't, but the reality is that most of us are.
Hmm.
But it's important for teens to get this. And of course, you know, it is really important to get basic CPR training. And
Yes.
sometimes out there, guys, it can be expensive. I get that. But there are areas that you can look into that may have a discounted class, like maybe through your local, check through your local library, through your parks and rec, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But I know even now that a lot of people who have their kids babysit,
Hmm.
they get them fully CPR certified,
Hmm.
right? Because it seems to me, Jim, from when we were kids to now, our kids, and then this newer generation, there are more allergies. People are
Oh
more
yeah.
allergic to things than they were when we were young.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right, and I don't know why that is. I
I
guess
don't either.
maybe it's because of all the chemicals in the food and stuff that we're
Right,
exposed to now. Because in the old days, I mean, we grew a lot of our food. You
right.
know, we really did. And you're right about that, Donna, because people have to be aware of allergies, and of course, like peanut butter. People are allergic to peanut butter. People are allergic to bee stings. You need to know how to respond to that and how to, especially someone in your family. You will know what they're allergic to or
Right,
whatever.
right.
And and also too to build on your point you made at your local fire department, they have EMTs there, and those EMTs, I'm sure, would be glad to put on a class for a small group of people on how to do CPR and things of that nature. I really believe that because I know several EMTs, and they're very nice people. They're willing to give back, especially in their spare time, because everybody likes to give their gifts or share their gifts. And that's their calling in life, and that's what we should do. Share our gifts in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, also, before we dive super far into this, Jim, I am a big believer of always having a first aid kit with you.
Oh yeah.
So I carry one in my car.
Hmm.
My husband carries one in his work van.
Hmm.
Um, in fact, when we went on our honeymoon, we were flying into Montana, and we had rented a motorhome. So I had a very small, but I had a first aid kit that I brought with us on the
Hmm.
plane.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly, because you think about that. You may come up on an accident scene where someone needs help right there, especially from bleeding or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
I mean, a first aid kit would come in real handy there,
sure
and
would.
you can get a lot of advice on what really is important in a first aid kit from the EMT personnel, people who are subject matter experts, your doctors, nurses, things of this nature, whoever you can get involved to share information with. And what are some of the items that should be in a first aid kit, Donna? Would you say?
Well, absolutely, band aids. You would need some kind of alcohol swabs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need an ointment, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of a burn ointment, a skin, just,
Mm-hmm.
Neosporin type thing.
Yeah.
Right. So those are definitely on the top.
Mm-hmm. For a home first aid kit, you can get a checklist online.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about having antibacterial wipes, painkillers. I wouldn't want to. I'd stay away from that one, a little bit. But anyway, gauze pads. That's
Gauze.
huge.
Some
Yeah.
scissors. You'd need some scissors in there. And then the
Oh
other
yeah.
thing I would also recommend is an ACE band aid,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you
Yes.
just don't know when you're going to need that ACE band aid.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that thing never goes out of style. That helps with sprains and
Hmm.
all sorts of things. Holds bandages in place. You know that when I banged up my finger, had to have 4 stitches in it. They put gauze over it, and then they wrapped it in that. It's a brown, light tan colored, not light tan, but a brown tape. It's not sticky. It's kind of like when you go get
It
your
sticks to
blood.
itself.
Yeah, boy, I
Yeah,
tell you
I
right
know
now,
what you're talking about.
I don't know what they call it, ladies and gentlemen, but I
That
tell you
stuff
right
is
now,
amazing.
yeah, it really is. I mean, it sticks to itself so well because the way it's made, it's not sticky. It just meshes together so strong. And I'll guarantee you, in the afternoon of the next day, you'll have a hard time finding the end of that thing. That's like
Yeah, you
stuff's
will.
like
Yeah,
Scotch tape.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
that comes in real handy, especially with kids, because Band-Aids with kids, they do a great job. But you can put the Band-Aid on the kid for having the wound colored or covered or whatever, but
Mhm.
then put that a little bandage on there. I don't know what they call it, but I'll tell you right now, that thing works wonders. It works wonders.
And Jim, one of the other things I would recommend in a first aid kit, whether you
Mm-hmm.
have one in your car or in your home, I
Mm-hmm.
would also recommend that you get it laminated if you need to. But I
Mm-hmm.
would recommend that you have um, a chest compression and breathing procedures.
Checklist. Mm-hmm.
Well, how to do it,
Right.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, because, like you said, in time of crisis, um, our adrenaline rises, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so then it kind of sometimes can interfere with logical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, I know how to do this. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having that in front of you would be really beneficial.
Amen. Because having a first aid list there in the first aid kit is very handy too. Also,
Mhm.
make sure you have some plastic gloves in there.
Oh, yes, yes,
Very
absolutely.
critical.
And
Hmm.
I'll tell you, it's funny. My dad used to use back in the day when you buy film and actually loaded your camera, but you can put them to keep them safe in a pill bottle. Take,
Hmm.
take the label off,
Yeah.
but you can put them in a pill bottle and
Hmm.
keep them in there so that they're safe. They don't get contaminated,
It won't dry out.
right?
Hmm.
So that's a real easy way to keep gloves safe.
Hmm. It really is. And when you're talking about having a first aid kit, what's in there and all, you want to make sure you have enough material in there in that ace bandage. Also for a sling or something like that, because a sling can come in very handy, not only to put an arm in, but to be able to help someone, to wrap somebody up or something, or use it as a lift thing,
Right,
because someone may be a little there might be a more of a challenge for you to lift. If you have got a sling there, you and
right.
someone else can help lift them up a little bit, and that's
A-
very important. And of course, I
Absolutely.
think you mentioned sorry, to say Caesars and tweezers at the same time, but that didn't come out right. Tweezers, and scissors.
Scissors.
A thermometer is good too.
Yes, and we you can get those. I want to say they're just a disposable thermometer, and they're about this big,
Hmm.
and you peel it back, right?
Hmm.
And the thermometer's in there, and then that way it doesn't take up very much room.
Hmm. Right. Hmm. You're exactly right. And also, too, the instant cold packs.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
the ones
very,
that you break open.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Those things come in real handy.
absolutely.
And knowing when to use what, that's the key, of course. And that's where the training comes in.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a big favor of when it comes to teenagers, get a subject matter expert together and let the expert, work with the teenagers, train them, answer their questions. And the secret to it is for us adults is to let the teenagers believe they found that out on their own or they earned that on their own.
Isn't that
Don't
the truth?
Yeah, don't go over there.
Right.
You may set up a camera and say, "Let me record this, and I'll be back later," and that's fine. But yeah, because teenagers are funny like that. If the parents are around, they're kind of like, "Well, they're going to be in charge. I don't care about this."
Right. Right. And so, it's important that getting proper understanding,
Hmm.
like if somebody came across somebody and they're in an accident,
Mm.
understanding the difference, say if they're bleeding on
Hmm.
capillaries, veins, or arteries,
Hmm.
right? Um, so this is kind of interesting. A capillary bleeding which is the smallest blood vessels,
Hmm.
looks like a little trickle and usually stops on its own, right? We've all done
Hmm.
that. We've scraped ourselves or what have you.
Yeah.
Now, veins, a consistent blood flow and blood that's a dark red color is
Hmm.
most likely coming from a vein.
Hmm.
It can range from mild to severe.
Hmm.
Now, an artery, this is the largest of all of our
Ooh.
blood vessels, and they carry a lot of oxygen.
Yeah.
So, if they are injured, bright red blood typically spurts out.
Hmm.
And it can be, you can lose a lot of blood that way quickly. So,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why it's so important for us to have a real good idea
Hmm.
of what it is. And, obviously, we're not, everybody's not a doctor. Pardon me. But if you have that training, you have an idea. And
Hmm.
for me, my rule of thumb in my brain is if it looks like a severe bleed and you're not sure, compression,
Hmm. Yeah.
compression, compression, compression.
Hmm. And with the help of a 911 operator who can put a subject matter expert on there instantly, I mean,
Right.
you can describe what's happening, that sort of thing, and get the proper treatment. Because Donna, in some states, I don't know if it's all states, but some states, if you come up on an accident and you do not render aid, whether you know it or not,
Right.
you can be charged for failure to yield aid to someone in their
Right.
hour of need. And I'd just like to throw this in as a nicety to know if you're having any kind of chest pains or any type of discomfort. Um, what I experienced on October the 29th on that Halloween night, I had a burning sensation in here, right in the center of my chest. And then my arms ached from the elbows down both sides. And I felt like I had an arrow, a pain of just pain from shoulder to shoulder, just like a straight arrow at the base of my
Right.
neck. And my wife checked my blood pressure, and it was real high. I said, "Oh, there's something goofy with that thing." And she checked it, says, "Working fine." Checked it again, it was high, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna go get this thing checked out." And I went to the ER, and my blood pressure when I got there was 190 over 111, which is you're starting to get into a very critical situation. Something can
Right.
happen, heart attack, stroke, etc. So they gave me 4 baby aspirins and some nitro. In a matter of minutes, the chest pain went away and my blood pressure dropped and all that. The moral of that story is, and what's in it for you, is that because I responded quickly within 30 minutes,
Right.
I did not suffer any muscle damage to my heart.
Right.
So when I had my open heart surgery on November the 1st, the bypass surgery with 4 bypasses, the doctors told me, he says, your heart's in great shape. You didn't suffer any kind of damage there at all. Well, that's music to my ears because if I'd have
Mhm.
waited until the morning, I could have suffered some type of tissue damage
Right.
to my heart, and that is permanent.
Right.
It's
Right.
irreversible.
Right.
So not only would I deal with that, but I got to deal with the tissue that or a heart that's not pumping correctly. So,
Right.
and
For the
when it comes
rest
to
of
heart,
your life.
yeah, when it comes to a heart attack, if there's a doubt, no one's going to laugh at you. Go get it checked out.
Absolutely. Or strokes.
Oh yeah, you can ask people questions, and if they don't sound like they're answering right, or if they're a little confused or whatever, get them there because the faster you get a person there that suffered from a stroke, the better recovery that they have, and they've made tremendous strides in that over the
Yes,
years.
they have. And one of the other things you can do with, if you think somebody's had a stroke, if I'm my oh, excuse me, I have the hiccups, y'all. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
But if my memory serves me correct,
Hmm.
is you ask them to raise their right hand, touch their nose, left
Hmm.
hand, touch their nose, because if they're in a stroke uh, and they miss,
Yeah.
then there's something wrong.
Yeah. Their motor.
Their motor skills.
Yeah, it's off. Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's important too, especially when teenagers are around maybe the grandparents or something like that. Something could go wrong, and
Oh
for them
yeah.
just to for them just to know how to react. And please, please, please don't let someone with chest pains or anything like that, or someone that's got
Right.
motor skills with like a stroke victim, don't make sure you drive them or call an ambulance. Don't tell them to get behind the wheel and go down the ER and get checked over because they may not make it.
Right. And in this article that we were reading and getting kind of up to speed on some of this,
Mm-hmm.
also that if somebody is bleeding and you're giving them assistance, do not take the whatever it is you've used to stop the bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what it is. Don't take it off.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
once you take it off, it opens it all up all over again.
Yeah, because it may start coagulating to the material that's got it covered.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I think about choking, the Heimlich maneuver, and all that, man, you know what story comes to my mind? Can I tell a story out of school?
Sure.
When we had Marty Haggard on the show, Marty told the story about how his dad went from the jailhouse to the White House to the moon.
Right.
And Donna knows what I'm going to say. We got to have a little fun here too. Richard Nixon's birthday was in 1971. During his birthday, he wanted Merle Haggard to come over there and perform. So the entire family, mom and the kids, were all invited up there to the White House. And so one of the aides said, there's going to be some drinking here. We got kids. Because in 71, Marty was born in 1958. He's the oldest son.
Right.
And Noel is a few years younger and all that. So you can do the math. You've got some young kids here, younger people. They don't need to be around this drinking. So Mrs. Nixon said, I'll take them up, to the third floor. The third floor is where the family lives.
The private quarters.
Yeah, nobody gets up there unless the president or the first lady invites you up there.
Correct.
Okay. So she takes the kids up there and, she starts serving them some cookies. Well, Noel, one of Marty's brothers, he started choking on the first cookie. And he says, "Oh, I'm hearing him over there coughing and all." And Mrs. Nixon grabbing him. And here she is. She's slam dunking him on his back or something. I forget the word he used, but,
right. Trying to dislodge that cookie.
Yeah. And she did. And Marty says, you just can't fix stupid, But, it's a funny story. But people, need to understand, especially teenagers, if there's a young youth and like a baby or something like that in the house, or even a younger kid like that in the house, if they start choking, what do you do?
Right.
This is where they need some good EMT training, some technical assistance from nurses or anyone like it, because this is critical.
Seconds matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seconds matter.
Yeah, they sure do. And think about how that teen would feel if the younger sibling choked to death.
Right.
That'd be a horrible thing to live with, especially when they could have had training, but they didn't get it, Because think about when I was a kid, I didn't think about first aid.
Right.
If I cut my finger or something, I'd go get a Band-Aid. That was my first aid,
Right. Absolutely. But it just seems that there's a lot more out there. And of course, because it's a bigger population now, more accidents happen, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
I know here in the Valley, you can't turn the news on. I don't care what time of day it is. Early in the morning at 4:30, which usually when I like to watch my news, there's accidents. You hear about it from last night, or real big is wrong way drivers.
Oh, yeah.
That's a biggie, right? So there's lots and lots of areas for this. And, the other thing that I would like to touch on, if I could for a minute, Jim.
Sure.
When we give our teens the opportunity to learn some first aid, think about how that makes them feel. They have a new skill. They have something they can contribute to society. They have respect. They have now a respect for, the care workers of our world, but they have a respect and it gives them that confidence that they
Hmm.
need, Jim,
Hmm.
that they need. So, when you think about it in that aspect, it is an amazing gift
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we are giving our children to
Hmm.
pay it forward.
Think about how they would feel if they came up on an accident scene or one of their friends or something happened, and they were able to perform what we call first line first aid, because that's what it is, and help them in their hour of need till the EMT gets there and
Mhm.
other medical personnel more trained than them. But they would be a critical part of helping that person in their hour of need. Think
Oh,
how would it feel? They feel good about that. It really would. And
right.
it's a wonderful thing to be able to contribute back to society. And Donna's website is donnaguimont.com. And Donna she's our TV show producer and host here along with me. And in other words, she puts up with me. But
Maybe he
Donna
puts
there,
up with me,
I tell you, we're brother and sister by different mothers, is what we are.
right?
In more ways than one, we're like that. And Donna has, she went through a crisis of having a brain aneurysm. And I'm going to slaughter the story here a little bit, but anyway, she suffered from MS. The doctor told her that, and then she went over to see another doctor, and he says you got an aneurysm, and you got to have brain surgery. And all of the journey she went through there, and with 3 brain surgeries, and it took her 2 years to complete a sentence because the words would just not roll off her tongue.
No.
Her motor skills were not there. And so she created, DonnaGuimont.com for counseling people and helping people to overcome, the things that's blocking them. And you can email Donna at highenergyrightnow@gmail.com. And Donna, share a little bit about your story there. And if someone contacts you for a 30-minute complimentary consultation, what's in it for them? Because we're not just talking about first aid for the physical, we're going to be talking about first aid for the mental side of life.
Absolutely. Well, we find ourselves in life where we all get caught in something. There's something happens to us, a family member becomes sick, and it becomes its own force, right? Its own
Mhm.
life force, and it can suck the life out of us. It really can, if we deal with it in the wrong way. In all honesty, that's what happened to me. I was scared to death. And then after my third brain surgery, like Jim said, I couldn't talk. I couldn't communicate. I couldn't speak a whole sentence. I couldn't remember things right in front of me. I couldn't get it out. My brain and body were tired. And then I was depressed. And, the list went on.
Mhm.
So I dug in. I dug in and I researched and I worked for a year trying to figure this out. And it
Mhm.
finally came to me. And that's how I became high energy performance coaching. What
Mhm.
happens is understanding everybody has a trigger, right? So, we hear that all the time when we talk about addicts. Well, there's a trigger. Well, I got
Mhm.
news for you. You don't have to be an addict. We all have a trigger, every
Mhm.
single one of us. And it
Yes,
comes
ma'am.
down to three things: a person, a place, or a thing, or a combination thereof.
Mhm.
So, I'm not saying in a half an hour that I can help guide you through everything, but
Mhm.
maybe we can get a good jump on it, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you just want to learn breathing techniques. Once you find the balance in your energy, it is the most amazing thing.
Mhm.
Everything becomes clear, you become calm, you enjoy the simple things in life that you've forgotten that you used to enjoy.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you why. Because when we're dealing with life and we want to move forward, but we're stuck, love and fear, love and hate can't coexist in the same space.
Mhm.
They cannot coexist in the same space. So, yeah, okay, I have MS, I have severe arthritis, and I had, an aneurysm. and I'm blessed because obviously it was fixed, but I don't let it live me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
There you
huge.
go. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the reason I share that because in the event that someone out there has seen, something that's tragic, and we've all seen tragic things in our life, and if it's bothering you and it's holding you back, or you got some type of mental block, please get in touch with Donna. She can talk with you, counsel you some, and maybe give you the step ladder you need to get out of that ditch. And that's why we
Absolutely.
want to mention that. Now let's get back. Let's go to the burn factory.
Oh, those can be
Oh,
so nasty, Jim.
oh, they're painful too. Mm.
I've had a few.
Oh yeah, me too.
I've had a few.
When it comes to the burn, remember the first thing you want to do is to stop the burning process. If there's any chemicals involved, you need to wash those off with water. That's critical.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the electricity needs to be turned off. It says here, it's a note there, because heat needs to be cooled down with running water. So when it says electricity turned off, don't use hot water. And those with sunburns, they need to go inside and get covered up. Now, the severity of a burn, we know this: first degree, second degree, and third degree.
Right.
First degree is just the minor effects on the outer layer of the skin. Second degree, it affects the two layers of the skin and causes blistering and redness and swelling. I've
Hmm.
had that before.
Oh, I have
Third
too.
third degree is serious, very serious.
Hmm.
And especially with burn victims, the reason why they have their death rate is more increased is because the skin, if it's burned and not there, that's what keeps the moisture in our body.
Right. It can't rejuvenate itself.
That's right. And that affects the deep layers of the skin, causes white or blackened skin that may be numb. It's always considered a major burn. And what to do? With a major burn, it needs immediate emergency medical treatment.
Hmm.
Call 911 or get to ask for advice till they get there. You flush the burned area with cool running water for several minutes. Do not use ice. You apply a light gauze. You may also apply an ointment like aloe vera before doing so if the burn is minor. And give the person some Motrin or ibuprofen for pain relief. And do not break any blisters that may have formed.
And also, it's important to ask if they are allergic to anything,
Oh, yeah.
because some people are allergic to ibuprofen or
Mhm.
Motrin or Tylenol or what have you.
Yeah.
So it's always important if they're able to
Mhm.
ask them.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good point, Don. I'm glad you brought that out. Because when you see blisters, they're actually designed to protect the damaged skin underneath it while it
Mhm.
heals. There's a reason it pops up there. So you don't want to pop those or break them open or anything. And of course, you want to wash your hands. And if you are going to later on remove the water or the fluid underneath the blister, you want to use a sterilized needle with alcohol. Make small punctures at the edge of the blister and
Right.
gently push the fluid out, and then apply an antibiotic and put on a bandage. And whenever it comes to, let's go now to a broken bone or a fracture. Ooh, I had a
Ooh.
fractured ankle one time. And I tell you that as soon as I fractured, I felt something. I heard something pop, felt something pop. I don't know. Might have been a combination of two, but instantly I got nauseated to my stomach a little bit.
Oh,
Broke out
wow.
in the sweat. Yeah. hmm And that was just a small hairline crack on my left ankle. And of course, now I went by the doctor's orders there. I mean, I thought it was going to be okay. I thought it was like a sprained ankle or something, because I jumped off a dock. I was tying up some furniture. My wife told me on the way home, pick up that furniture. Yes, ma'am. So I'm over there, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to start raining. And so I had a tarp to cover it, but I wanted to get home. So I'm hopping up and down off the dock. And this one time, I just hit the pavement. It's a little bit rolled. I hit it the
Oh,
wrong angle, and it popped.
yep.
And I thought it'd be okay till I tried to push in that clutch. And then I knew then it was no way, Jose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I called her because I told her, bring the Durango up here. It's automatic. I said, I'll drive it home. I want you to drive the truck home. She says, why? I said, I hurt my ankle. And of course, I get home, my ankle looks like Alley Oop's ankle. And she takes me, and of course, she puts, they put it on ice there in the ER and all that stuff. But yeah, you got to learn how to deal with broken bones and fractured bones and things of this nature, because it's important when it comes to a person's got a broken bone. You don't want to try to straighten anything.
Well, and here's something else, and this is my own personal experience. Sometimes we think we're really tough, right? Oh, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So when my dog was still pretty young, I had got him a bone, and went to the grocery and got him a pack of bones, and I cooked them up. And in there was a neck bone. Okay. I didn't think much about it. He's going to chew out the marrow and stuff. Well, how dogs like to hide the bones so, nobody else can get them. I'm walking from the couch, was going to go into my bedroom for something, and I stepped on that dadgum bone. Right. And it hurt my toe right next to my big toe.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's really sore. It must have poked me good. So I didn't think about it, and it was still sore, and it was still sore. I broke it because let's just say when I'm barefoot, the one toe just kind of goes, meow. So, things like that can happen, and we don't know long term. Be very careful.
Could you do that again?
Meow.
Yeah. I remember one time I was getting up going to the restroom in the middle of the night, didn't turn on the light, and my little toe caught the edge of the door frame going in, and I fractured that thing. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, a little toe, there's nothing you can do for a fractured little toe. I
I've done
didn't
that.
know that. Yeah.
I've done
Oh,
that. I
and you'll
taped it up.
hop. Yeah, that's what I did
Hmm.
because I went there and the X-ray said, "Yeah, it's fractured." Okay, what do you do for it? Nothing. What do you mean
Yeah,
nothing? Now this is back in.
I didn't
Yeah.
even go to the doctor. I knew because
Hmm.
I tried to get up out of bed, took one step. When I put all my weight on that leg, that foot,
Hmm.
flat
Yep.
as I face planted, man.
Yeah. Because that little toe, I tell you right now, and you fractured that thing, you will definitely know it. And you just got to, because I went to work the next day and I'm hobbling around. What do people do when they see you hobbling around? They
What'd you
start
do?
laughing at you.
Or what
Yeah.
happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you do now? And of course, you hate to tell anybody you got in the middle of the night to go to the restroom and walked into a door.
Oh, how to fight with the door. The door
Yeah.
won.
Yeah. Door one, me zero.
Right, right,
And you can use a splint and padding to keep it, keep the limb, you know, you want to make it secure.
right.
Don't try to straighten anything. Don't try to do anything like that. You can put a cold pack on the injury and, make sure that there's a barrier between the cold pack and the skin to prevent tissue damage.
Right.
And if ice is also available, put it in a plastic bag and wrap it in a shirt or towel and then apply it.
And
And
elevation.
yeah, exactly.
And elevation.
Yeah. Sometimes I've heard that sprains are worse than broken bones. And I remember one time I sprained my ankle and man, I hobbled around on that thing for a long time.
I don't know if I've ever sprained anything.
Yeah, one time. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
don't
it's
know if I
yeah.
have.
Hmm.
Huh.
But when it comes to a sprain, you want to be able to have a good a good wrapping like an ace bandage there and be able to secure it and wrap it and have the person stay off of that foot or off of that limb, whatever they did. I'm talking about the leg or foot now.
Right.
And make sure that you also get them to a medical facility, let it be evaluated that it is a sprain because it could be a hairline fracture in there they know nothing about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like in my case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you can twist a joint or something like that. I mean, you can tear a ligament. I mean, there can be all kind of things that.
Hmm.
And some
Hmm.
people say, "Oh, it'll be okay in a couple of days or whatever." Well, if you tear something or if you've got a fracture, it's not going to be okay in a couple of days. If you don't take care of it, you can have some long-term repercussions from that.
That's exactly true. That's
Hmm.
exactly true. I had broke my tailbone. Oh my goodness, I must have been 24, and I broke my tailbone, and of course I could barely walk for about a week, and it healed. I went to the doctor, and I remember they said, "Oh, well, there's really not a whole lot we can do about it." Well, there should have been because it didn't heal right. So now, if you're like at a stadium or a bare metal seat, I have to
Hmm.
be really careful because, like I said, it didn't heal right. So it hurts. I can't put right that kind of pressure on my tailbone.
Hmm.
So I hope, there's just all kinds of things that can happen. So better be safe than sorry,
Hmm.
and get checked
Absolutely.
out and get checked out.
Hmm. Let's cover one final thing because we're out of time. That's kids with nosebleeds. Oh man, with kids, I mean, that can be a mess. And if
Been
your
there.
teenagers, yeah, if your teenager's there at the house and little brother, little sister has a nosebleed, what do they do? What should they do? And the thing of it is that have the kid just calm down, relax, no big deal. Have them, lay down or lean back and slightly lean forward, not back, excuse me.
Right.
And they talk about pinching the nose below the
Yes.
bridge.
Yes, I was going to
Yeah.
say they call it a boxer pinch, and they go in. I don't know if you
Hmm.
can see me, but they pinch right there. And I
Right.
learned that with my daughter because my youngest daughter had horrible nosebleeds, and I
Hmm.
didn't know about that. So, I'm doing the tilt your head back thing because that's what we grew up with
Hmm.
early, right? And then she threw up blood, and oh my gosh,
That scared you to
I
death.
yes, it did. So we lived kind of out in the country and got in the car and zoomed up to the the little fire station
Hmm.
and carried her in. Said, this is what's happening, blah blah blah. And they said, yeah, she got blood in her stomach from it, and we can't
Hmm.
digest that, so it has to come out.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that out the hard way when I had a bleeding, a peptic ulcer.
Ooh.
Your body will not press, and it didn't hurt. It was just caused from bacteria. H. pylori was the bacteria.
Right.
But here again, knowing what to do, because in the way we were brought up, Donna, is tilt your head back, stuff
Oh
toilet
yeah.
paper up there, and you'll be good to go. But no,
Right. Just kind of go like this, and it'll go away.
yeah, kind of like if it can't come up, it can't get out.
Right, right, right. But also be cognizant of the fact that children can get nosebleeds if the air is too hot or dry.
Yes, ma'am. They sure
It
can.
just causes the membranes to dry out and then nosebleeds
Yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
So,
They sure can. That's very common.
yeah.
Very common. I'm glad you mentioned that because it's very important to know some of the things that can create. You know, colds and allergies can do it. Blowing your nose hard can do it.
Yep.
Of course, trauma to the nose, like getting socked in the nose. That's everybody can understand that one.
Right.
And
Right.
and they say sometimes even pregnancy can actually create a nosebleed.
Well, it's
And
because everything's expanding. Think
okay,
about
all right.
it.
Hmm.
We just expand from the inside out.
Oh, okay. Well, since I've never been pregnant, I wouldn't know that.
Right,
But
right. I'm sure it's a little more detailed than that, but
oh
there's
yeah, yeah.
so many physical crazy things that happen
Hmm.
when we're pregnant that I mean, it's no
Hmm.
wonder that that could happen.
Yeah. And frequent use of nasal sprays, that can also trigger nosebleeds. And that's a sign that you're putting too many foreign chemicals in your sinus cavities. And it's got
Yes.
to bleed to get that stuff out. So
Hmm.
that should be a warning sign to you. Because I've known
And
some people in
also,
the,
if you have high blood pressure, Jim.
yes, ma'am, it sure can.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
you're anemic, that's another issue with
Yeah.
nosebleeds. Because
Yeah.
I've knew one guy that he got addicted to nasal sprays.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
he has used them all the time. Yeah. I mean, it was common to see him 5 or 6 times during the day, squirting that
Oh,
nasal spray. Yeah, that's way
goodness.
too much. That's way too much.
Yeah, that would be. That
Mhm.
would be.
And Donna, we're almost out of time.
We are, Jim. We
Mhm.
are. Darn it. But we're going to come back for one more day this week.
Only one?
Yeah, just one more day this week.
Which one?
Friday.
Oh, okay.
We have so enjoyed being here with you.
Hmm.
And this is why Jim and I do this,
Oh, yeah.
because we want to bring you information. Hopefully, it's really entertaining for you,
Hmm.
and things that can help you and your family.
Hmm.
That is, this is just a gift that we are calling, and that's what we're here for. And
Oh, yeah.
it is not only a pleasure, but we feel blessed being able to do this each and
Hmm.
every day.
Oh, yeah. We really do, because in our show, we're not about just interviewing people and having people talk about who they are and what they do and all that, because we want to provide value to you guys. And we want to say thank you, because it's been evidence, because our viewing numbers have went up. The amount of minutes that were viewed really went up, last time we checked. And, just because, we're just honored, because it's a, it's a wonderful thing. Pardon my voice today, but I got to, take care of it and I get off of here. But we got pollen out here with the leaves, with the
Oh, yeah.
trees getting that yellow pollen. And oh, man, I'm not allergic per se, but it gets in my throat, and
Right.
it's more aggravating than anything else. But also, as we close every show, we like to say, be sure and love yourself first. That is priority one in life.
Yes.
And, if you love yourself first, then you can share love with others. Forgive yourself, give yourself grace. And so what if you don't know everything? So what if you're not perfect? So what if you made mistakes in life? So what?
Right.
Let all of that go, because that does not define who you are.
Nope.
It, but love and following your calling in life will define you. It will help you in your hour of need. And as I like to say, the comfort that I had when I just simply said, Lord, it's in your hands. If the surgery goes well, I go home. If it doesn't go well, I go home. This is right before I had open heart surgery. And immediately I was just encapsulated, just like that, just like a rushing encapsulation. And I knew that the surgery would go well, and I knew my recovery would go well, which is exactly what happened. But I also knew that I was going to be okay. I was very safe. I was very secure, very loved. And I thought, wow, if it's what eternity is like, we can skip the surgery. Take me now. I mean, it's that sweet of a feeling. And I share that with you to say, in your hour of need, I sincerely hope that you have that same type of sweet comfort feeling of love and being safe and secure, because it's a sweet, sweet feeling, folks.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Folks, we will see you tomorrow, same time,
Hmm.
same place. Have a blessed evening or
Hmm.
day wherever you are.
Hmm.
Take care
Whenever
of
you
yourself.
catch